What's up, Hannah? Thank you so much for joining me on the show today. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm super excited to dive into today's conversation because I know we're going to talk about all the things business, gut health. So, without further ado, is it cool if I just jump right in?
Of course, let's do it.
Okay, so can you share with us, for those of you who are tuning in and don't know, have not been introduced to the pleasure of your work, can you share with us just a little bit about who you are, who you serve, and how you got there?
Yes, yeah. So, my name is Hannah Aylward, and I'm the CEO and founder of Han. And at Han, we really help women overcome chronic digestive issues by taking a root cause approach to repairing the gut microbiome, gut function, digestive health, all of that good stuff. So that's really who we serve. I mean, we see a lot of women. We do help men too. We always get questions like from men being like, "Can you help me?" And I'm like, "Of course we can," but we just see more women. And yeah, I mean, typically it's like people who have been struggling with chronic digestive issues for years have tried a lot. I would say our client tends to be a bit more advanced. So they have like tried altering their diet. They're not eating ultra processed foods. Maybe they're not eating gluten and dairy anymore. They're not eating, ultra refined carbohydrates and sugars and things like that. They're exercising and they're kind of like, what's the deal? Like, why am I still looking 6 months pregnant with bloating at the end of the day? So, quite advanced, So if that's you, you're in you're in the right place because a lot of people just start to feel helpless. They're like, "What the heck? I'm doing quote unquote everything right," right? So when we look at supporting these women, we are really looking at the gut environment and what's going on in the gut environment that's then causing things like bloating, constipation, diarrhea, food sensitivities, skin stuff, low energy, that kind of thing.
Now, since you work with a lot of chronic cases that are the ones that people feel like can't be diagnosed and they can't be fixed is
Yeah.
what I know from working with you and connecting with you and learning about what it is that you do. I'm curious, do you have a lot of professionals that actually come into your world that have come from research and they start to feel those feelings of like, I'm a fraud. Who am I to be doing this? What used to work doesn't work anymore. What are some of the signs that you typically see from the people that you work with?
Yeah, I mean, professionals like other practitioners you're talking about?
Yes. Coaches,
Yeah.
personal
Yeah.
trainers.
We definitely we see practitioners really across the board. So, and I get it. I mean, when I was first struggling with these chronic digestive issues, like I looked 6 months pregnant with bloating by the end of the day, and I was reacting to lots of foods, and I was doing all of the things. I mean, I was like probiotics, enzymes, elimination diets, exercise, meditation, and like nothing was getting me there. And before I kind of knew what I know now, I felt like a fraud. I was like, I'm helping these other people and they're getting good results, but I can't figure this out for myself. So if anyone resonates with that, like you're not alone in this. And it would cause a lot of shame and like embarrassment. And I'd go into my acupuncturist friend and I'd like cry. I'd be like, this is so like weighted for me,
It's
because
not funny. I'm not laughing because at you. I'm laughing because I get it. And I feel like we've all, to some capacity, experienced that in some way. So keep going.
yeah. And you know what? And also like full transparency, I mean, my health is miles beyond and better than it was. But I mean, if I go through a super stressful time or I get sick or something, like, I can have health flares too. So health, it's always a journey. I mean, it's never really like you get there and you're done. And I always use the like metaphor of like exercise. Like you don't go to the gym once and expect to maintain like a six pack. Like you have to go multiple times a week, kind of forever, and it's the same. It's the same. It's not as intensive work once you kind of get through it. Like the maintenance is much easier than the initial work, but there's always going to be some upkeep. You can't just like quote unquote heal your gut and then eat pizza and drink beer all the time and expect to feel good. So yeah, it's and with the going back to your original question with the practitioners, we see a lot of nurses. We get a lot of nurses. I'm convinced it's the shift work and the like overnights and the chronic stress that just like wrecks their gut. And we do see other coaches. We'll see people that are like NTPs. We'll see functional diagnostic nutrition practitioners. We'll see RDs. I mean, the first woman that I hired to join my team and help found my work and wanted to learn from me. So we'll see people really across the board. I've had like doctors that go through the program before. We have a chiropractor client, like doctor of chiropractic right now. So yeah, I mean, it's okay to like not know what you don't know and then learn it.
Yeah. So you started to share a little bit that you've gone through this yourself. So I'm curious, like what happened? What was going through your mind? What were you take us back to the moments before you realized you had chronic gut health issues.
Yeah. So, I mean, I love doing like the stress timeline with clients because when we widen the lens and kind of go back in history in your like life story, it's pretty easy to see how we ended up here, you know? So, I mean, taking it way back, like I am super type A and have been my entire life, and I'm a middle child. And I'm also a Capricorn. So, if anyone knows anything about that, it's like, it's like high production, determination, go, 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 climb your way to the top is like very much my personality. And lots of childhood trauma. Like my parents had a really rough divorce, that kind of like everything blew up, you know? So there was a lot there. And like when I really think back, I mean, I remember getting picked up from school because my stomach hurt, you know? So it wasn't just a 1 year thing. I mean, it had been brewing for years and years. And then I took tons of antibiotics. I mean, my parents they didn't really know any better. You know, it's like, we're sick, go get her a Z-Pack or whatever. And over time, plus my relationship with my body was very, very poor. And I did like a lot of restrictive dieting and a lot of over exercising. And over time, I mean, that mixed with like chronic stress and like overworking. And I mean, it's like so ingrained to me. Like I skipped a grade and I graduated top of, it's like go, 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 go. And the chronic stress just it's a matter of time before you have gut issues and hormonal stuff, you know? So stress is kind of this big ick, and we can break it down into different stressors like physical, mental and emotional, environmental stressors. And I had all of those. And then I also lived in this place with mold, and it was just like my body was just like, no more, girl. So I would really I was like trialing elimination diets. I mean, I probably lived on an elimination diet for like 10 years, and that's not even an exaggeration. I mean, I didn't eat dairy. I didn't eat any gluten. I've always like had a very like light relationship with alcohol. I've never really gone through a phase where I've had like been a big drinker. I've exercised for forever. I was an athlete. I played volleyball very competitively. So it was like I was doing all of these things, and I was eating organic whole foods. And I joke because it makes me sound old, and I know that I'm not old, but when I first started on my health journey, like there was one brand of almond milk. There was none of this stuff existed. And if you wanted non-toxic skincare and makeup, like you had to go to Whole Foods. There was like Mineral Fusion, one brand available at Whole Foods. And now, of course, like all of these industries have just exploded, which is so helpful. It makes it so much easier. But I mean, Simple Mill, Siete, like none of these brands existed. I was like, I'm eating rice cakes and I'm drinking like Silk almond milk or nothing, you know? So I've been at it for a little while, I would say. And yeah, things just weren't really like making sense. Like I was eating really healthy. I was eating organic. I haven't been using chemicals in my like hair care, skin care, house stuff for years. And I was still dealing with, I mean, I remember going through a phase where I lost my period for 2 years, and then I remember, like, I would throw up after, like, one drink of alcohol. I would get reflux. I looked chronically bloated, like, the gas and bloating and constipation were so bad. And that's when I just knew, like, something else has to be going on here because I am, quote, unquote, "young and healthy," right? Like, what else is going on? And genetically, like, no one in my family has, like, autoimmune issues. I mean, there was, like, no reason for what I was experiencing, and that's when I really just, like, dove headfirst into the gut health research.
Yeah, so what did you find?
Yeah, I mean, I realized that, food is not the only thing that impacts your gut microbiome. Stress does, environmental toxin exposure does, things like heavy metals, things like mycotoxins from mold. And also, you know, a big thing that I say to like my community often is it's very rarely the food that's causing the issue. So, yes, ultra refined, ultra processed foods, we know they're not helpful, all of that stuff. I mean, everyone kind of knows that at this point. Sodas, that kind of thing. However, if you are reacting to lots of foods, especially like healthy foods, like you can't eat onions, you can't eat garlic, you can't eat, I mean, anything. I couldn't eat like sweet potatoes. I couldn't eat an apple. I would literally look pregnant after eating an apple, you know? And that's from the FODMAP content. And that's also because I had a bunch of bacterial overgrowth. So there was like this layer deeper of gut health that I didn't understand. And I was really convinced that if I just ate perfectly, it would all go away. Cause that's like very in the narrative of functional medicine. It's like if you listen to some of these leaders in functional medicine, it's like elimination diet, take that out, take that out. Nightshades, oxalates, like you'll end up eating nothing, you know, there's nothing left. So I
True.
started to
So true.
realize it's so true. And I'm like, I really speak out about this because as someone who had a very poor relationship with food in my body to begin with, like I did not need to be fearing like bell peppers. Like that was not going to serve me. It just messed up my relationship with food even more. And we see that with clients. Like we'll see clients coming in and their functional medicine doctor has told them to eat like 45 grams of carbs a day. And I'm just like, this is so damaging, you know? And it's like the gluten and the dairy and all of this is causing all of your issues, or the food sensitivity tests that come back with like loads of foods that you're sensitive to. This is super inaccurate. Like there's a deeper issue going on. So what I really started to learn was how digestion actually works, what we need to properly digest our food, like stomach acid and bile and enzyme secretion, and then the gut microbiome piece. And when there's imbalances in the gut microbiome, whether it's bacteria or fungi or archaea or parasites, we'll also start reacting and we'll get a lot of symptoms. And then the gut barrier plays a massive role, and the nervous system plays a massive role, and our cellular function plays a massive role too. So there's just so much more to it. And I was really like food. And food is so powerful. I mean, it impacts your gut microbiome pretty immediately after you eat it. So I'm not knocking it, but there's just like a whole layer deeper. And we work on the nutrition aspect with clients, but we also really work on addressing that gut environment piece, like where the food's actually entering. And when we do that, people all of a sudden can eat tomatoes and apples and things like that.
So I'm curious, in your experience and also in your clients' experience, do people tend to have a hard time identifying what the actual cause is, or what foods are actually irritating versus like, oh no, you have like you had mentioned, you had overgrown bacteria in the gut.
Sure.
Like it's easy to blame food. How does one differentiate between what actually is the truth
Mhm.
about a food sensitivity and what is deeper root cause issues?
Yeah, it's a great question because we can see it go way too far, you know? And reacting to foods is very real, you know? Like tons of our clients react to loads of foods. But I would say, I mean, gluten is one thing. I kind of put that into a different bucket. And also, like, of course, if you have celiac disease, like it's a no, there's really no bringing it back. Some people do have like higher sensitivities to gluten, and that's fine. Some people are also truly lactose intolerant. I will say we see a lot of people that come in and can't eat dairy and then they work with us and then they can eat it again, like over and over and over and over again. And that's because of like maldigestion patterns and imbalances in the gut microbiome. But I would say in general, like if you are reacting to lots of random foods, like you can't put your finger on it. Like you're like it's not just gluten. It's not just dairy. I eat anything and I'm feeling bloated. I eat anything and I'm constipated or I'm flaring or I have reflux. That's a sign that it's not really the food. Another thing that clients report to us a lot is, you know, they'll eat a meal on Monday morning for breakfast, they feel fine. They eat the same meal the next day and they don't feel fine. That's not a food issue. We've eaten the same food and we're reacting differently, right? So that can be stress, but it's very likely microbial imbalances and like poor digestion. And then the other thing too is to look at, I mean, for anyone that's like struggling with gut issues, is to look at instead of like gluten and dairy and sugar, because that's like very commonly talked about. It's more so like, are you more reactive to fiber-rich foods? Are you more reactive to fat-rich foods? Are you more reactive to protein-rich foods? Because that can clue us into the breakdown, right? So there's like, for example, if someone feels nauseous, bloated, heavy after eating fat-rich foods, even healthy fats, avocado, olive oil, nuts and seeds, that's a sign of fat maldigestion. We need liver gallbladder work here. So it's not the avocado's fault, right? It's not really the avocado that's doing that. It's the fact that you can't break it down properly. Whereas protein, like some clients will be like, I feel so heavy after eating protein, or I'm burping right after eating it, or then it turns into like I don't really eat meat because I don't really like it very much, or it doesn't feel well, or I don't feel well after I eat it. And that's just a stomach acid issue, you know? So which then there's deeper root causes to that. So to answer your question, I mean, it can be very difficult for clients to identify, is this a true sensitivity or is this a deeper issue? I would say in general, if you're reacting to if there's more than like 3 foods that you're like, gosh, I really can't eat these, it's a deeper gut issue. The 1 to 2 that you know, like these don't really sit well with me, that's fine. The long list, we have to dig a bit deeper.
So what I'm also curious about, now this is super nerdy and sciencey, so please, for those of you who are like, what, just, bear with me on this. But you mentioned that that people have different digestive tracts based on whether it's fat, whether it's protein. And I'm curious because we also hear a lot when it's kind of one of those like if you're in the health and fitness, you think gut issue, you go lactose and or you go milk and or you go dairy and gluten, get
Yep.
rid of it, right? But what I'm curious about is do people react to the protein in dairy as opposed to the sugar in, or yeah, as opposed to the lactose, the sugar in dairy? Do they have reactions to the actual casein or whey in
Mm.
dairy as opposed to the sugar?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I know that for sure, like, um, because I'm thinking like how we could actually test that. Whey is gonna take a lot of people off with gut issues, but we will see people be able to reintroduce these things, So
Mhm.
when it comes to, yeah, like a lactose intolerance, usually we're looking at the sugar, you don't produce enough of the enzyme to break it down. Um, However, yeah, it is a good question to ask. I'm trying to think like how we could differentiate that. We see people just not tolerate it and then tolerate it again, but everyone's a little different, So, casein, personally, I wouldn't really recommend for many people, or whey, just anyone that's dealing with gut issues, like we would take that out a bit. And then there's other things that can help too. It's like if you add probiotics to the dairy, can you tolerate it better?
Mm.
So we would have to probably do different testing to identify this that we don't do. So, but it's a good question. I mean, that's an interesting question.
I ask because my daughter has this. My daughter deals a lot with uncomfortability in dairy, and it's not the sugar.
Yeah.
So, and
Mm,
that's hard to find out. You didn't
yeah.
you were like, "Wait, I don't understand. Why can she tolerate sometimes and not other times?"
Yeah.
So
That's
that was some of the
interesting.
things that we had found in her testing is that she's having responses to the casein, not
Yeah.
sugar.
Yeah. That's interesting. And
Mhm.
and what testing did you do to identify that?
Blood work with
What
her allergist,
Yeah, like allergy testing.
allergy
Yeah.
testing. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we don't do allergy testing, but also, well, let me be mindful here. It's
Just
all I always wanna dig deeper
yeah.
because, we've seen people come in and they're like, "I'm allergic to eggs," and they're not, and they leave our work and they're eating them again, So that's not I'm in no way trying to say that, like, all allergies are a joke or anything like that. I mean, if you have a shellfish allergy, peanut allergy, I mean, these things are super serious. Don't go eating them. Anaphylactic shock, like, that's a very different response than, like, digestive discomfort, right? So I would put those in kind of different buckets, but if your daughter's taking it out and it's easy enough and she feels a lot better, then so be it, But I would say the allergies can even be a little iffy. The food sensitivities to me, I'm like, we can work through 95% of these. Allergies, even sometimes we can see budge, which is really interesting.
Well, so interesting because they also grow out of it and they change. Like when we
Right.
were talking about this, right? My daughter's now 10 and we've been dealing with food stuff since, born. And
Yeah.
so it's like you're seeing it change as she grows. So it
Right.
is very interesting. I know that not all allergies are anaphylactic and that some are
Right.
just other root causes, even stemming
Yeah.
from birth.
Yeah, yeah. Do a stool test. Do a stool test on her and get her some, gut immune support, like immunoglobulins. Those things alone could help, yeah.
Amazing. Okay, so now, speaking of symptoms, I do want to talk a little bit about we hear a lot on the internet. You hear a lot of people who are talking about gut stuff and don't really know what they're talking about. And you hear things like leaky gut, you have leaky gut. Then you hear leaky gut's not real. There's no such
Right.
thing as leaky gut. Or, same thing we hear about adrenal fatigue. No such
Mhm.
thing, So I'm curious your take, your stance, and how does one identify what's going on?
Yeah, so we can talk about both of these. I love these. So leaky gut, I would say it is real. The term leaky gut is not well like accepted in the medical community. It would more so be like increased intestinal permeability. It's the same freaking thing. So I mean, when I talk about it in my podcast and stuff, I'll say like gut barrier issues, increased intestinal permeability, hyperpermeability, saying that to a doctor that's well versed, they may better understand that. But however, I mean, I remember going to my like GP years ago and he was like, "What do you do for work?" And I told him and he's like, "So how do you alter the gut microbiome. And I was like, yeah, okay. So I'm gonna leave now. I just need some blood work. But so yeah, I mean, it's kind of like they really sometimes Western medicine gets really like specific and about like the language that you use. But the breakdown and degradation of the gut barrier is very real, you know? I would say with leaky gut, if we want to just call it that, there are other root causes to leaky gut, you know, and saying that that doesn't exist is so silly because in the cases of like ulcerative colitis and Crohn's and stuff, I mean, it's big inflammation of the gut barrier. Like we know it's there, you know, so that's interesting to me. But I do think people throw it around way too much and they don't exactly know what they're talking about. Because we have two. So when we're looking at the gut lining, we have like the mucosal layer of the gut lining, and then we have the epithelial layer of the gut lining. And we want to strengthen really both of those. And your gut lining it's semi-permeable in nature. I mean, that's how you absorb a lot of the nutrients out of your food, right? So it's not that it should not be permeable at all, but it's when we have different infections, chronic stress, cortisol pokes holes in the gut lining. When we have some of these other things, pathogens, they're going to trigger that degradation of the gut barrier that can then contribute to more systemic inflammation. So it's like maybe that's why that's why Western medicine has like beef with it, is because the gut lining it is semi-permeable, like it has to be, but we don't want it too hyperpermeable. So I would say very real. I always say like leaky gut protocols are very lazy because
Oh,
just bringing in gut barrier support, we have to ask, how did we get here? You know, so functional medicine doctors love to just like chuck out L-glutamine. And they're like, just take this. And L-glutamine's great. I mean, there is scientific literature to show that it can enhance the gut barrier, specifically the small intestine. And that's cool. But it's like, why? Like, why do we have the leaky gut in the first place? Is it undergrowth of our supportive gut bacteria? Is it overgrowth of more opportunistic bacteria? Is it chronic stress? You know, and when we're running on these stress hormones, we're pumping out cortisol all day. Is it other infections? You know, so we always have to dig a bit deeper and really look under the hood to see what got us here. Poor diet can cause it too if we're like never eating fiber-rich foods and polyphenol-rich foods. So there's just a bit more to the story. Also medications. I mean, like
ooh,
when you read the bottle at the back of the bottle on like ibuprofen, it's like, don't take too much. It'll cause, you know, it can cause stomach irritation, like the gut lining. So that can also cause gut barrier issues. So yeah, I would say overall, it is real. There's a bit more to the story. And then with adrenal fatigue, yes, I have a whole podcast episode on this. Your adrenals don't really fatigue, right? So it's not like they just get tired and they stop working. I will sometimes use the term because people understand it. At this point, people know like what it is. I kind of refer to it more as like burnout. I mean, you're just feeling burnt out, you're exhausted. And the more technical term is like HPA axis dysfunction or dysregulation. So your hypothalamus, your pituitary, and your adrenals are all in communication. And that communication goes a little haywire after we've just experienced chronic stress over and over and over again. So me, for example, I mean, I've been there to the point where my cortisol is no longer high, it's low, and you're freaking exhausted. And running a business will do that to you. Running a business having the business grow, like my business tripled in 1 year,
so amazing.
and which is fantastic. It was like a good stress, and I was like, "This is awesome," but my life was also, like, chaotic. I moved a bunch of times that year, so, you know, like, life hits us sometimes, and it can be good stress, it can be bad stress, but that's when at the end of that, I was like I was waking up with headaches, and I was like, "I need 2 cups of coffee to even, like, get started in the morning," and that's when I was like, "This is something's wrong." So I tested my cortisol, and I was, like, bottomed out. I mean, I was so low. And that's when you're just like truly exhausted and your motivation is like gone. And I love my work so much. And I was like, I don't even care. I was like, I have no goals to grow this thing. I'm like, I'm just trying to survive. And when I'm not like happy to wake up in the morning, that's when I know something's wrong. Like my like joy and soul has been sucked out of me. That's the low cortisol feeling. When things that normally bring you happiness and joy aren't doing it anymore, you're burnt out or quote unquote adrenal fatigue. But once again, your adrenals aren't necessarily fatiguing and like just stopping work. They're not just like, they don't just like quit. It's more so that you've experienced so much stress for so long that the communication goes a little haywire. So then your brain stops communicating to these other organs so you start producing less cortisol, because it's like we don't want it too high for too long. But it is an issue. I mean, low cortisol, you're at higher risk for autoimmunity, and you also just feel, and you'll have more food reactions. So definitely something to look into with someone that knows what they're talking about.
Okay, so this is awesome. Thank you. I have so many, so many questions. Now, what I'm curious about, if you're tuning in and you're a coach who is working with clients, and maybe you're a personal trainer and you're doing a lot of the workout and you're doing some nutrition coaching. What are some of the signs that a coach could keep an eye out for when they realize, oh, this could be deeper and we need to get some additional support for the clients? What are some of the things that they could be looking out for or watching out for to help identify there might be a gut or deeper underlying issues?
Yes. We see this a lot. We have other health coaches refer people to us for like testing and deeper work and all of that. So, there's so much that can be done with food, but I would say if your client has really altered the diet, like you're coaching them and they're doing what you're telling them to do, which is number one. And we've trialed stress management, we've trialed daily movement, and we've added in more nutrient dense foods, and we've pulled out maybe some of these bigger triggers like dairy or gluten, and a lot of sugar and alcohol, right? Like they've decreased a lot of these things, and they're balancing their blood sugar. They're eating good proteins, they're eating fiber and fat, and they're still feeling sick, basically. So lots of bloating, maybe they're constipated. I mean, if your client's not going into the bathroom every day, it's a problem. Or if they're running to the bathroom 10 times a day. We see it on both ends of the spectrum. And they can also have similar underlying root causes, which is interesting. They just like present differently. And or if they have a lot of food sensitivities, if they're having honestly chronic skin stuff, so acne, eczema, psoriasis, rashes, these things, and they've altered the diet and we're seeing no change, and they've altered topicals. So maybe they've tried like removing their laundry detergent and they are using good skincare and they've done all of that, but it's still not going away. That's a big sign. Any autoimmune condition, I would say we have to look at the gut. I mean, the gut's playing a massive role there. It's not the only thing, but it is one of the factors playing a role. So yeah, I would say like if you feel like your tools aren't fully working, and they're still like they're sluggish, they're exhausted, their weight isn't budging, they're really bloated, constipated, diarrhea, lots of reactions, then it could be time to dig a little deeper.
It's good. So what I'm also curious, because I know you deal with chronic cases. So these are
Yep.
usually people who they're aware that they're bloated. I'm
Yep.
curious, what would you say are the majority of people that actually might be suffering without even realizing it? Like, can people actually identify the difference between like the I'm fine coma, or recognizing that that it's not just because I'm postpartum, or wait, this is inflammation and not just because I can't lose weight because my metabolism's slowing down. Wait, this is actually not normal. So I'm curious, like,
Yeah.
how have people discovered that this is actually not no normal, especially the people who might not be bottomed out? Because I feel like we hear these stories of people that are like, I ate an apple and got bloated,
Yep.
or they're perfectly fine. And then these people that are in the middle kind of get trapped in that I'm fine coma. So I'm curious, like, what are some of the things that people can consider could be worth looking into?
Yes, it's a really good question, and I have so much to say about it because I do think in general women just kind of normalize like feeling tired and bad. It's like, especially if you're like running a business and raising kids, you're just like, I'm exhausted and it is what it is, which I
Yes.
get. I mean, like, I'm at the point personally right now where I'm like, I need to delegate, I need to reprioritize because I'm getting too tired. So I understand. I mean, I'm not on the other side of this microphone acting like I've got it all figured out. Like we're all managing this stuff and tweaking. And right now I'm feeling like, okay, Hannah needs more care and things need to shift. So you're not alone in that. But I do think women in general, especially after having kids, have just like, yeah, normalized. Like I'm tired. My body's never the same. My digestion's not the same, my energy's not the same. And of course there is a level of normal to this, right? Like if you just gave birth and you're breastfeeding, I mean, the amount of nutrients that are required for this is insane. Like that you need so much replenishment after going through something like this. And we have a client who just signed on to work with us who's had 8 children. I'm like, you probably have nothing left, you know? And that's not like that's not it's a beautiful thing and that's wonderful, but I'm just like, "Holy moly, like no wonder you're exhausted." And she was listening to my low cortisol podcast episode. She's like, "This is me." I'm like, "Of course it's you. Like you have nothing left after all of this." And there's no shame in that. It's just like, let's come in and help you feel better, you know? So I would say, if your energy or your weight or your digestion, if it's catching your attention more than it's not. Like if you're going through your week and you're having 2 good days and 5 bad days, like there's something else going on. If it's something that you have to think about and you have to um prioritize, like shift your life around it, that's when we know that there's something bigger, right? If you like don't sleep well one night, you wake up, you're kind of tired, and then you bounce back and you're fine. That's different. I mean, that happens to all of us. But if you are like, I'm starting to witness that I'm taking foods out, I'm afraid to eat certain foods. I'm pushing through the day. I don't have anything left in me, but I have to get through it. Like these are deeper signs, and you can feel so much better. Like it's available to you. We just have to come in with the right kind of strategic support for you. So I would say the easiest way to identify that is just if you're feeling like you're not yourself and you're feeling like your headspace is being taken up by your health more than it's not, let's dig deeper and see what's going on here.
Yeah, that's so good. So now I'm also curious because I feel like this can be when we're dealing with the I'm fine coma is that people and like you said that they normalize just feeling bad. I think people don't really have a barometer for how good it can actually be. And
Yeah.
so I'm curious when you're dealing with clients, how much of especially ones who are dealing with chronic conditions, right? Or they've tried everything in the past. How do you navigate and help clients recognize and stop blaming their discipline or stop blaming their
Mm.
motivation? Because I bet you just listening to you and being similar in that A type, like in that like, hey, I set goals, I hit them. It can be very easy to be hard on yourself and think, "Oh, I
Oh,
can't
yeah.
get help yet because I haven't done everything perfectly. So that must mean I am not there's more work for me to do." So how do you
Mhm.
navigate understanding the nuance between what's discipline, what is actually, "No, no, we need to" it can be easy. It doesn't have to be hard.
Yeah. This is, like, I'm having, like, some ahas in my brain with you saying this, um, because I don't even it doesn't even occur to me typically that, yeah, women may think, like, I have to do all of these things perfectly before I get help. That's very interesting. I mean, and breaks my heart. That breaks my
Mhm.
heart, like, because also get help, and I know it's easy, like, it's what I do for my job, so it's easy for me to say and all of that, but getting help and receiving support is so healing, even if it's going to the doctor or it's signing up to work with us, or it's like when going to an acupuncturist and just like letting or a therapist, like letting someone hold space for you and releasing the control is so healing in and of itself. So yeah, that's really like interesting. People in our programs, they are very hard on themselves. I say from the very beginning in our welcome call, I'm always like, listen, this may make me a bad coach, but I'm not looking for you to do this 100%. Looking for a good 85%. We're looking for a good 80 to 85%. And if you put in 80 to 85% into this program, you're gonna get results. And our programs, I mean, my like group containers 4 months, our one-on-one program is 6 months. Like you don't transform your gut really truly at the root cause level in a week. It doesn't happen. Our clients, for the most part, know that because they're like, I've tried it all, so I get it. Which is also interesting because when I first got started, it felt like people would never want to sign up for something that long. And now clients are like, I might need 9 months. And I'm like, yeah, you could. It depends. Um, so it's just interesting. Like people have been so burned by the functional, unfortunately, by the functional like medicine way, that they want more support, we're finding. But yeah, I would say like I try to address it off the bat. I mean, we are human. I don't do it all perfectly. My team doesn't do it all perfectly. We're all dealing with our own stressors, whether it's family, financial, health, I mean, work. It runs the world to save the world today. I mean, there's stressors left and right, you know? So you don't need to do it 100%, and I say that right off the bat. And I also really, really, like, hit on with my clients, it's not about never falling off the horse. It's about how quickly you can get back on, and holding yourself in integrity with what you want and your goals, but also with grace and compassion because you are human and you will mess up. And I say that at the very beginning at the welcome call. I'm like, you're not going to do this perfectly. Just drop that now. Like there's going to be a day where you eat something that's weird or you're going to forget to take your supplements or you're going to be super stressed or you're going to miss sleep. Like this is 4 months long. We can't, this isn't a 7-month or a 7-day push, right? This is like your life. Like you're living your life during this program. People have gotten married inside my programs. Like they've bought homes, they've gone on cruises. Like life continues to happen, you know? So it's not about this like perfection and push through for 7 days. It's about integrating it into your lifestyle and being very patient and kind with yourself, and also understanding that like you signed up for this for a reason. So stand in that and show up for yourself. And we build courage and confidence when we do what we say we're gonna do over and over and over again. Like that's not given, that's built. Like I believe in myself at this point because I've shown myself over and over again that when it gets hard, I'll still show up. And not always, and sometimes I'll cry and I'll sit on my couch and it'll take me a couple days, but it's like I've shown myself that I will do it even if it's hard or even when it's not working or even when it feels like I don't know what I'm doing. And that's why I have the belief in myself today that I have, you know? So it's so, I think, medicinal to do what you say you're going to do and allow yourself to not do that perfectly. It doesn't need to be perfect. Like with my workouts, for example, I used to run 6 miles every day. And if it was like, if I didn't have a full hour to run, I wouldn't do anything. And now I'm like, honestly, if I have 20 minutes to knock out a couple, like some squats and lunges and push-ups and whatever, 20 minutes is better than no minutes. And it's probably better for me than an hour for some days if I'm really stressed, you know? So it's like going up that 80, 85%. I mean, that's way, way, way better than 0%. And the 100% is unrealistic. You know, it's just unrealistic for most of us. It's not possible. No one's doing that. So just drop that now.
Yeah, I mean, it's so true. It's just interesting. It's interesting, especially, if you're working with people that are my age who come from the 90s, then, and like the crux of the diet culture when it was really literally, it was either all or nothing or always
Yes.
never. And so
Yes.
when you are ingrained with that type of messaging in your life, it's really easy to go through thinking, oh, well, I fell off this day, so that means I have to keep starting over Monday, and we forget that there's
Yes.
actually only 51 Mondays, or 51 to 52 Mondays in a year.
Interesting.
So, like, how many times are
Yeah.
you gonna say that before you recognize, oh, it doesn't have to be that hard. Like, it gets to be, especially like you said, if you're living your life living here. So it gets to
Yes.
have some sort of ease. And it's not all supposed to be one note. You're gonna have days where it's up and down. It's just how fast can you get back to baseline, and is that baseline something that is pain-free so that you can eat comfortably and
Yeah.
reach your goals. So I'm curious with that and with the nuance of that, how do you help your clients identify what is a plateau or what needs a program shift versus trusting the process and stop trying to run a marathon when you just learned how to walk?
Yes. Yeah, there's kind of different ways to answer this. So, I mean, when we're looking at like supplement protocols and things like that, I will say we have to check in with like, are you actually taking this? So sometimes I'll get on calls with women and they took some of these supplements for like 2 weeks when we need them taking them for 8 weeks. Like when we're looking to eradicate a big bacterial overgrowth, it takes a second. So there's kind of different ways to answer this. But I would say, I mean, at the core of it, it's like do you feel like you're doing your best right now? And if that's a no, then let's get you back on the horse. And if it's a yes, then let's really like dig into what could not be working here. We're always looking for things that aren't working for people, because I mean that's our job, and you can go through all the trainings in the world and no, like, if I had one protocol that just magically worked for everyone, I would sell it and I would have to do a lot less work, but it just does not work like that. Like, health is so nuanced and specific, and you can give 2 people the same protocol and they'll respond a bit differently. So we're always looking for that on our end to see, are these people responding properly, but also just asking them questions like, do you feel, first off, are you doing the foundations? Like, are you eating enough? Are you balancing your blood sugar? Are you moving? Are you sleeping? Are you laughing? Like, are you experiencing joy in your life? A lot of women are not. They don't know what makes them happy anymore. They don't know what brings them joy anymore, which also breaks my heart. But we can get into that pattern where we're just focused on survival and pushing the needle forward and we totally forget about ourselves. So it's like, first off, are we doing these foundations pretty consistently, more consistently than we're not? And then after that, are we doing all the additional stuff like the supplements and whatever? We use a lot of supplements and gut protocols. So if you are really consistently taking those, we're going to tweak. We're going to tweak the protocol to better support you. I would say oftentimes, yeah, people aren't doing it because maybe they did fall off one day and then they were afraid to get back on, or they kind of, yeah, throw it all to the wind kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, I think it's just getting really honest with yourself and just asking yourself, like, how consistently am I taking this? And you already know, like, my job for you or for the client is to basically pull that answer out of you. I mean, you have the answer. Like, you can know right now, am I giving this all I got or am I not? Am I doing the best that I can do right now at this point in my life, which may look like less than I could have a month ago, but it's more than I have done before. It's like your life ebbs and flows. So the question is, are you giving this the most that you can right now, which could be 80%, could be 60%, could be 90% based on what else is going on in your life, and only you can really answer that question. I can ask like, what are you eating and how much are you moving and how much are you sleeping and all of that, but only you really know, like, if you're giving it what all you can right now or not. So, I just kind of get poking a little.
Mhm. So good, good. Okay, so I definitely want to be respectful and mindful of your time. And so I'm going to ask you this one last question. In your years of experience and working with thousands of clients at this point, I know that it is typically a range and that this is not like a one-word answer, like one size fits all, the way you would sell it. But I'm just curious, how long does it typically take someone to start seeing and feeling better when they're working on their
Yeah, very much depends. I will say, I mean, we'll see people start to feel shifts in 2 weeks even. However, that's not, it's obviously not everyone, and it's not necessarily like us getting into those deeper root causes. So for example, we bring in it's like some foundational support. So we'll make diet changes, we'll make nervous system shifts, and we'll add in some supportive supplements. You'd be shocked. Like, I'm shocked. I'm always shocked when women are posting in our private group and they're like, I am no longer taking Miralax and I've been taking it for 10 years. And I'm just like, honestly, I don't even know how this is happening. It's so quick. But we're just bringing in some support for them. It could be liver support. It could be digestive support. It could be minerals. I mean, all of these things make a big difference. So some of our clients will feel some shifts as soon as 2 weeks. Now, after we do that, and then say they have a ton of dysbiosis, like bacterial overgrowth, once we bring in stuff to address that, we're going to open up kind of another can of worms. So they could feel good, then they could feel bad again. Then they'll feel good again at the end. So it ebbs and flows for everyone. But I would say subtle shifts in as little as 2 weeks. I mean, honestly, in as little as a couple days, depending on the person. But I really like to be like very clear with expectations with people, and like, you will not heal your gut in 2 weeks. So some people, I would say on average, like 3 to 4 months is pretty solid. 6 months is, we can see a large amount of clients get a lot better in 6 months. If there are other things playing a role, like mold toxicity, heavy metals, things like that. We're more so looking at like 9 months, possibly even a year, depending on how sensitive someone is. So right now in health, there's like so much like histamine overload and MCAS, like mast cell activation syndrome, which makes people super sensitive to interventions. So those people are gonna have to go lower and slower. If that doesn't apply to you, a good 4 months of work, we can get you feeling a lot better.
So good. Okay, so for those of you tuning in who want to connect with you, want to learn more about what it is that you do and go deeper with you, what are some of the best places that I can send them?
Yes. So we launched a podcast this year. It's called the Nutrient Dense Podcast. I know. I was like, I should have done this 2 years ago. But you know how it goes.
Yeah, I do.
So it's been great. It's been really fun for me. So you can come check that out. I do like deep dives on all these things. So I have a whole episode on adrenal fatigue. I have a whole episode on leaky gut. It's like one of the first episodes. So if the sciencey stuff is fun to you, please come on over and learn there. It's been very well received by our community, which makes just my heart swell. Because sometimes you're like, is anyone listening to this thing? Like, am I just
Hello?
talking to this microphone? So that's been great. And then I'm pretty active on Instagram. So over at just Hannah Aylward HHC. And then our website's just hannahaylward.com.
Okay, great. And so thank you so much for pouring into me and into us today. And I'll make sure that we link all of that up inside of the show notes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hmm.